The air inside the studio had always been loud laughter, playful teasing, and the constant rhythm of music filling every corner. But lately things had changed. Taehyung wasn't laughing like he used to. His eyes, once bright and mischievous, seemed distant, as if his thoughts were trapped somewhere far away. Jungkook noticed it first. He'd always been the one who could read Taehyung without a single word, but now every glance felt heavier. Every silence between them lasted a little too long. Army began noticing too. Clips started circulating online, short moments during interviews or live streams where Taehyung would drift off, smile faintly, then look down as if hiding something. Comments flooded social media. Is Taehyung okay? Something's off between them. At first, Jungkook ignored the noise. He believed it was just fatigue, the kind that comes with endless schedules and sleepless nights. But deep down, he knew. This was different. It happened during a quiet night in the practice room. Everyone else had gone home, but Taehyung stayed behind, sitting against the mirror, staring at his reflection. Jungkook walked in, hesitant. "Kyung, you okay?" he asked softly. Taehyung didn't answer right away. His voice, when it came, was barely a whisper. "Sometimes I feel like I'm losing myself, Jungkook." Those words hit harder than any song lyric. For a moment, Jungkook didn't know what to say. He sat down beside him, the silence between them heavy, not uncomfortable but real. That was the night Jungkook realized it wasn't just tiredness. Taehyung was struggling with something deeper, something he couldn't talk about in front of cameras or fans. A few days later, Jungkook went live. Fans expected the usual, jokes, laughter, maybe a song. But this time, his tone was serious. He paused before speaking, eyes lowering to the screen. "I know many of you have been worried about Tae. I just want to say, sometimes people go through things we can't see. It doesn't mean they're okay or not okay. It just means they're human." That moment spread like wildfire. Fans clipped it, shared it, analyzed every word, but more than that, they felt it. Jungkook hadn't revealed details, but his voice carried something raw, something that told everyone that behind the lights and fame, there was real pain. Days passed, but Jungkook couldn't stop thinking about that night. The silence between them had grown heavier, not because of anger, but because both were afraid of saying too much, or maybe not enough. Then one evening after rehearsal, Taehyung finally spoke. The room was dim, the soft hum of the speakers still echoing in the background. "Kook," he said quietly, "do you ever feel like you're smiling for everyone but no one really sees you?" Jungkook froze. He looked at Taehyung. The same friend who once lit up every room with laughter, who could turn exhaustion into art. But now there was a vulnerability in his eyes that Jungkook had never seen before. "Every day," Jungkook admitted softly. "But you've been carrying too much alone, haven't you?" Taehyung's lips trembled. For a moment he tried to smile, but it broke halfway. "I thought I could handle it. The pressure, the expectations. Everyone looking at us like we're untouchable. But sometimes I just want to disappear. Not because I don't love it, but because I don't know who I am when the cameras stop." Jungkook's heart sank as he reached out, placing a hand on Taehyung's shoulder, a small gesture, but one that said everything words couldn't. "You're not alone, Tae. You never were." That night, something changed between them. No more pretending. No more forced smiles. For the first time, Taehyung allowed himself to be seen, not as V from BTS, but as Kim Taehyung, the person who sometimes felt lost behind the fame. And Jungkook? He became his anchor. Every performance after that, every glance they shared on stage carried a silent message: "I've got you." When Jungkook spoke again during another live, he didn't name names, but everyone knew. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who smile even when it hurts. Just be kind. You never know what someone's fighting through. The fandom fell silent. It wasn't gossip anymore. It was love, understanding, and the realization that even idols could break sometimes. When the world became too loud, Taehyung needed to breathe. No cameras. No rehearsals. No pressure. Just the ocean, the wind, and the quiet hum of his own heartbeat. So without telling anyone except one person, he booked a flight. Hawaii. Jungkook found out the next morning through a short message. "I'm okay, Kook. Just need some time to find myself again." Those words should have been comforting, but instead they felt like goodbye. Jungkook couldn't shake the unease. Every song they recorded, every stage they prepared for, it all felt empty without Taehyung's voice beside him. After 2 days of silence, he made his decision. He booked a flight too. The sun was setting when Jungkook found him. Taehyung was sitting by the shore, barefoot, the wind tugging gently at his hair as waves brushed against the sand. For a moment, Jungkook didn't say a word. He just stood there watching him, the man who'd carried so much pain behind his smile. "You really came," Taehyung said softly, turning around. Jungkook smiled faintly. "Did you really think I'd let you do this alone?" Taehyung looked down, the corner of his lips twitching into something between a laugh and a sigh. "I thought you'd be angry. I just needed to disappear for a while." "I wasn't angry," Jungkook said. "Just scared." The sound of the waves filled the silence that followed. Then slowly, Taehyung whispered, "Do you ever wish we could go back? Before all of this, when it was just us, the music and nothing else?" Jungkook nodded. "Every day. But if going back means losing who we've become, I'd rather walk through it all with you. No matter how hard it gets." Something in Taehyung's chest broke open then, not in pain but in release. He'd been holding so much for so long. And as the sky turned from gold to violet, Jungkook sat beside him, shoulder to shoulder, no words left to say, because sometimes silence says everything. That night, under the soft glow of the Hawaiian moon, Taehyung finally spoke the words he'd been holding inside. "I was scared, Kook. Scared of not being enough, of disappointing everyone, even you." Jungkook turned to him, eyes steady. "You could never disappoint me. Then why did it feel like I was fading?" Taehyung whispered. "Every time I smiled, it felt like I was wearing someone else's face." Jungkook's voice trembled slightly. "Because the world doesn't always see the real you. But I do. I always have." And for the first time in months, Taehyung let the tears fall. Jungkook didn't stop him. He didn't say anything more. He just stayed, the same way he always had. It wasn't about answers anymore. It was about being seen, being known, being understood. The next morning, the peace they'd found by the ocean began to fade. Neither of them had realized how easily silence could be broken, how one photograph could change everything. A local fan had spotted them, and no makeup, no stylist, no security, just Taehyung and Jungkook, sitting by the shore with their feet in the sand. The photo wasn't staged, it was raw, real, human. Within hours, it was everywhere. #Taehyung in Hawaii trended across platforms. Speculation ran wild. Are they okay? Did something happen between them? Why are they alone in Hawaii? The comments flooded in faster than they could breathe. But for once, neither of them cared about the noise. That night, as they watched the sky fade into stars, Taehyung glanced at Jungkook with a small, weary smile. "They found us." Jungkook laughed softly. "Let them. Maybe it's time they see something real." And that's when Jungkook pulled out his phone, not to hide, not to explain, but to speak. He opened a live stream. The comments exploded instantly, but his calmness quieted the chaos. "I know you've all seen the pictures," he said. "We're fine. Sometimes you just need to breathe, to remember who you are without the noise." Then, without hesitation, he turned the camera slightly toward Taehyung. Taehyung didn't flinch or smile for show. He just looked straight into the lens and said softly, "Don't worry about us. We're healing together." For a long time after the live ended, the world stayed quiet. It wasn't a scandal anymore. It was a moment of truth that even fame couldn't distort. The days that followed were slower, softer. They spent mornings walking through hidden paths lined with palm trees, afternoons sketching melodies that might never be released, and nights talking about everything they'd never had time to say. Sometimes they laughed until their stomachs hurt. Other times they just sat in silence, listening to the waves crash and the stars hum above them. Jungkook noticed how Taehyung's laughter began to sound different again. Real, effortless. Taehyung noticed how Jungkook stopped overthinking, stopped worrying about fixing everything. They had both learned something priceless. Healing doesn't come from running away. It comes from being seen by someone who refuses to let go. Before they flew back to Seoul, Taehyung took one last look at the horizon and whispered, "I think I finally remember who I am again." Jungkook smiled, the wind catching his hair. "Then let's go home, Tae." And as the plane lifted off, the world below faded, but what they carried between them would never disappear again. When the plane touched down, the world felt louder again. The flashing cameras, the sea of fans, the endless noise, all of it came rushing back. But this time, something inside both of them had changed. Taehyung no longer flinched at the attention that he smiled. Not the practiced idle smile, but a quiet, genuine one. Jungkook walked beside him, calm and steady, no longer afraid of what people might say. The staff tried to hurry them through the terminal, but Taehyung stopped for a second, glancing at Jungkook. Do you think they'll ever understand? Jungkook's lips curved softly. Maybe not all of them, but the ones who matter, they already do. It wasn't defiance. It was peace. A few weeks later, something unexpected appeared online. A soft melody, no official release, no credits. Just a simple upload titled, "You Were There." ARMY knew the voices instantly, Taehyung's deep tone weaving through Jungkook's gentle harmony. Raw, unfiltered, almost like a confession in music. The lyrics weren't flashy. They were honest. When I forgot my name, you called me back. When the world turned away, you stayed. Even in silence, I heard your heart say, "I'm here," fans cried. The song wasn't about romance or fame, it was about connection, about two people holding each other up when everything else fell apart. For Taehyung and Jungkook, it wasn't just a song. It was a promise that no matter how hard it got, they would keep choosing each other.